You're on a wooden ship in the middle of the Caribbean. The sun is blazing overhead. Your water supplies are running dangerously low. And all around you stretches an endless ocean of water that you absolutely cannot drink. This was the daily reality faced by thousands of pirates during the golden age of piracy. And what they did to solve this problem was nothing short of brilliant. Today, I'm going to take you into the fascinating world of pirate survival techniques. The ingenious methods they developed to turn undrinkable seawater into precious fresh water. Methods so clever and resourceful that they were closely guarded secrets for centuries. By the end of this video, you'll have a completely new appreciation for these maritime innovators. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever really thought about how much water you use every day? Most of us take it for granted. Turn a handle and clean water flows out. But pirates had to solve this problem with nothing but their wits, basic tools, and whatever materials they could scavenge from their ships. The year was 1715. Captain Benjamin Hornigold's crew had been at sea for 3 weeks. Their water barrels were nearly empty. The men were getting restless, and Hornigold knew he had to act fast. That's when he ordered his crew to begin one of the most sophisticated water purification operations ever attempted on the high seas. You see, most people think pirates just drank rum all day because they were alcoholics. That's completely wrong. The reality is far more practical. Pirates developed an entire system around alcohol consumption that was actually a form of advanced water treatment for its time. But even before we get to the rum solution, let me tell you about the water storage challenge itself. The water that pirates carried in those massive wooden barrels would undergo a complete transformation after just a few weeks at sea. Fresh, clean water would gradually become contaminated with bacteria and algae. The wooden barrels, while sturdy, weren't perfect containers. Pirates had a specific term for this contaminated water. They called it live water because you could actually see microorganisms swimming around in it. Not exactly appetizing, but this challenge forced them to become incredibly innovative. Now you might be thinking, why didn't they just boil the contaminated water? Well, here's where things get really interesting. Pirates did develop boiling techniques, but fuel management on a wooden ship was critical. They had to balance the need for purification with the limited resources available for maintaining fires safely on their vessels. Pirates became masters of resource management. Every piece of wood, every scrap of material had multiple uses. When it came to water purification, they had to get creative with whatever they had on hand. Some pirates discovered early forms of distillation. They would take large cooking pots, fill them with seawater, and develop ingenious condensation systems using available materials. The process was simple in concept but required serious skill to execute safely on a moving ship. Let me tell you about what seawater actually contains and why it's dangerous to drink. Seawater has about 3.5% salt content, which is far more than human kidneys can process efficiently. When you drink seawater, your body actually uses more water trying to flush out the excess salt than you gain from drinking it. So instead of solving your hydration problem, you're actually making it worse. The symptoms of drinking seawater develop quickly: nausea, dehydration, and eventually kidney problems. But pirates figured out ways to work around this challenge using techniques that wouldn't be widely understood until centuries later. The first major breakthrough was distillation. Pirates would create makeshift distillation systems using large pots and pieces of sailcloth. They'd heat seawater in the pot, capture the steam with cloth stretched above it, and collect the condensed fresh water that dripped down. This process separated the salt from the water, leaving behind pure, drinkable liquid. The engineering behind these systems was actually quite sophisticated. Pirates had to maintain precise temperature control, manage airflow, and position their equipment to work effectively even in rough seas. They became expert improvisational engineers out of necessity. But distillation wasn't their only innovation. Pirates also developed one of the earliest forms of solar purification. When they could get to shore, they'd dig shallow pits, line them with waterproof materials like treated sailcloth or animal hides, pour in seawater, and cover the pit with clear materials that would allow sunlight through. The sun would evaporate the water, which would then condense on the covering material and drip down into collection containers placed strategically around the edges. This method required no fuel and could operate continuously as long as there was sunlight. The effectiveness of solar distillation impressed many pirates. A well-constructed solar still could produce several gallons of fresh water per day under optimal conditions. The key was understanding how to position the equipment and manage the collection process efficiently. But pirates didn't stop there. They also discovered biological methods of water purification that were centuries ahead of their time. Some pirate crews learned that certain materials could naturally filter water. They discovered that sand, charcoal, and various fabrics could remove contaminants from their stored water. They'd create multi-layer filtration systems using whatever materials were available on their ships. The most ingenious pirates realized that silver had water purification properties. They would drop silver coins into their water barrels, not understanding the antibacterial science behind it, but knowing from experience that it helped keep their water fresh longer. Modern science has confirmed that silver really does have natural antimicrobial properties. Pirates also developed sophisticated water storage techniques. They learned that charring the inside of wooden barrels created a natural filtration layer that helped preserve water quality. They'd actually burn the interior surface of new barrels to create what was essentially a primitive carbon filter. These charred barrels could keep water fresh much longer than untreated wooden containers. Some pirate crews became so skilled at barrel preparation that their water would stay drinkable for months during long voyages. Temperature management was another crucial innovation. Pirates discovered that keeping their water barrels in the coolest parts of their ships significantly slowed down bacterial growth. They'd strategically position barrels in the lowest parts of the ship where temperatures stayed more stable. But perhaps the most famous pirate water innovation was grog. This wasn't just about getting drunk. Grog was actually an early form of water treatment that used alcohol's antibacterial properties to make questionable water safer to drink. The standard grog recipe involved mixing 1 part rum with 4 parts water, often with a splash of lime juice added. The alcohol content was just enough to kill harmful bacteria, while the lime provided vitamin C to prevent scurvy. It was like having a complete health management system in a single drink. Different pirate captains developed their own grog variations. Some added sugar to improve the taste. Others included spices like cinnamon or nutmeg. A few innovative captains even added mint leaves, creating what might have been the world's first mojito prototype. The mathematics of grog consumption were carefully calculated. A typical pirate ship with 50 crew members would use approximately 70 gallons of rum per week just for grog production. This wasn't wasteful drinking. It was a systematic approach to water safety that kept entire crews healthy during long voyages. Smart pirate captains used grog rations as a way to manage both water consumption and crew morale. Each sailor received a specific daily allowance that provided both hydration and nutrition while maintaining the water treatment benefits of alcohol. Pirates also developed rainwater collection systems that were remarkably sophisticated. When storms approached, they could quickly convert their entire ship into a water harvesting operation. The sails became giant funnels that directed rainwater into storage containers positioned throughout the vessel. The coordination required for effective rain collection was impressive. Crew members had specific roles and positions during rainstorms. Some managed the sail angles to optimize water flow. Others positioned containers and monitored collection rates. The whole operation could be set up and running within minutes of the first raindrops. Pirates learned to let the initial rainfall wash the salt and debris off their sails before beginning serious collection. They called this letting the ship take its bath. Only after everything was clean would they start directing water into their storage barrels. Some crews became so efficient at rain collection that they could gather enough water during a single storm to last for weeks. The key was having systems in place and crew members who knew exactly what to do when the weather turned favorable. On land, pirates became expert water hunters. They developed techniques for finding fresh water sources that were passed down through generations of sailors. They learned to read natural signs that indicated nearby water sources. Vegetation patterns were crucial indicators. Pirates knew that certain types of plants required constant moisture and only grew near fresh water. They became experts at identifying these indicator species and following them to hidden springs and streams. They also learned to follow wildlife patterns. Birds and animals needed regular access to fresh water, so pirates would observe their movement patterns, especially during early morning and late afternoon when animals typically went to drink. Pirates developed techniques for creating seepage wells near coastlines. They dig holes about 50 feet inland from the beach, allowing fresh groundwater to seep in while the sand naturally filtered out salt water. These improvised wells could provide clean water even on seemingly barren islands. The really skilled pirate water hunters learned to read geological formations. They knew that certain rock formations and valley shapes were likely to contain hidden water sources. Some could literally smell water from considerable distances, though this skill required years of experience to develop. Pirates also became masters of water conservation. They developed strict rationing systems that ensured fair distribution while maximizing the lifespan of their water supplies. These systems were often more democratic and fair than the water management practices used by official naval vessels. Some pirate crews created elaborate water accounting systems. They'd track daily consumption, monitor storage levels, and project future needs based on planned route and weather conditions. This level of resource management was sophisticated for any organization of that era. The most successful pirate captains understood that water management was as important as navigation or combat skills. Crews that could reliably maintain fresh water supplies could stay at sea longer, travel farther, and take on more ambitious ventures than those that constantly worried about running out of drinking water. Pirates also developed techniques for evaluating water quality without modern testing equipment. They learned to assess water by color, smell, taste, and even the behavior of small organisms living in it. These evaluation skills helped them make critical decisions about which water sources were safe to use. When they found questionable water sources, pirates had backup purification methods. They'd use multiple filtration layers, extended boiling times, or additional alcohol treatments to make marginal water sources usable. Every technique was tested and refined through practical experience. The innovation didn't stop with basic survival. Some pirate crews developed water trading networks. They'd establish relationships with coastal communities, trading goods and services for reliable access to fresh water sources. These arrangements were often more sophisticated than official diplomatic agreements. Pirates with reliable water sources could command premium prices from other crews. Clean water became a form of currency in the pirate economy. Ships known for their water management skills could recruit the best crews and undertake the most profitable ventures. There are accounts of pirate captains who became legendary for their water management abilities. These individuals could keep their crews healthy and hydrated in situations where other captains would lose half their men to dehydration and disease. The techniques developed by pirates influenced water management practices throughout the maritime world. Many innovations that started on pirate ships eventually became standard practice for all types of ocean vessels. Their practical solutions to real-world problems had lasting impacts on nautical technology. Some pirate water innovations were so effective that they continued to be used well into the modern era. Solar distillation techniques developed by Caribbean pirates appear in survival manuals used by military organizations today. The basic principles haven't changed much in over 300 years. The legacy of pirate water management extends beyond just technical innovations. These men developed systematic approaches to resource management, team coordination, and crisis planning that influenced organizational practices in many other fields. What made pirate water management so effective was the combination of practical innovation, careful observation, and collaborative problem solving. These weren't educated scientists or trained engineers. They were practical men who learned through trial and error, shared knowledge freely within their communities, and constantly refined their techniques based on real-world results. The next time you turn on a faucet and clean water flows out effortlessly, remember the ingenuity of those Caribbean pirates. They faced one of humanity's most basic challenges, finding clean water in a hostile environment, and solved it using nothing but their intelligence, creativity, and determination. These pirates weren't just treasure hunters or maritime criminals. They were innovative problem solvers who developed water purification and management techniques that kept thousands of people alive in some of the most challenging conditions imaginable. Their contributions to practical survival science deserve recognition alongside more famous historical innovations. The story of how pirates turned seawater into drinking water is ultimately a story about human ingenuity. When faced with a life-or-death challenge, these men developed solutions that were both practical and effective. They proved that with creativity, observation, and persistence, even the most difficult problems can be solved using available resources. From distillation systems to filtration techniques, from grog recipes to rain collection methods, pirates created a comprehensive water management system that allowed them to thrive in one of the most water-scarce environments on Earth. Their innovations saved countless lives and opened up new possibilities for ocean exploration and trade. So remember these maritime innovators not just as legendary figures from adventure stories, but as practical problem solvers who made significant contributions to human survival science. Their techniques for turning deadly seawater into life-giving fresh water represent some of the most important survival innovations in maritime history.